Yes, sir. Board ready.
Okay. Okay, I'll call the order of Sparks City Council meeting of March the 9th, 2020 with a roll call, please.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Council members Abbott.
Here.
Lawson. Anderson.
Here.
Bybee.
Here.
Dare.
Here.
City Attorney Adams. City Manager Cruz.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
And they're not underneath the table, they're actually on the phone. I don't know if you can hear them or not. So if you'll all please stand for our invocation speaker, Pastor Neat from the Sparks Seventh-day Adventist Church. And thank you for giving me reprieve on your last name.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Holy One, known by many names and beyond all names, I pray that you bless us in this meeting and keep us. To be honest with you, God, every now and then we all need a little bit of magic, a little bit of miracle, a supernatural manifestation in our life. So today I pray we will feel your presence in this meeting. Please direct our steps, grant us some of your wisdom, strengthen us as we make tough decisions. We ask your blessings on those of us who have been called to lead the community in which we live and work and play. Remind us that we are not only leaders but also servants, and that it is our responsibility to serve the common good of all. Remind us that no matter where we live, everyone, gay, straight, transgender, black or white, Hispanic or Asian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, white, Hispanic, Sikh or atheist, all of us are neighbors. We all are siblings, and that we all are a part of one community. This we pray in the name of all that we hold sacred and holy, all that we hold good and right, and also true. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much. If you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Anderson, would you lead us, please?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to open up the public comment period. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak, please fill out one of these cards, and we'll get you up here. First speaker is Eliza Weatherly. Elise, okay, come on down, Elise.
I've done this before, so where do I go?
You go right there and grab that microphone. The green light should be on the bottom.
Okay.
And have a seat.
Okay, have a seat. All right, thank you. All right. Well, I noticed it on the agenda here that you're not supposed to bring up anything that doesn't pertain to government, so I'll try not to be as vague as possible. But I will say I decided to start coming here because I want to do some investigation on some things. I want to see how things work. I want to see how people work. I want to see what's going on that I agree with and what I don't agree with. City of Sparks has some good things going. I like the City of Sparks Police Department. They were essential in helping my brother, who is now deceased, finding the name of the lady who were selling his stolen goods. Okay, I worked with those, Keating, I worked with him a lot. I miss him. I like the flow of traffic. I like certain things. But what I don't like, you guys would never invite me to come and do the introductory prayer because I wouldn't pray in a nebulous and vague name. I would pray in the name of Christ because I think anything else does not honor him. So I plan on coming and doing the best that I can, but part of the best is pointing out when somebody tells you lies, when they tell you stories, when they stand in front of a court of law, which is an honorable place to be, and makes things up. And so just for the record, I plan on pursuing things that I know are wrong and hopefully not stepping on toes when I do it. So I just wanted to say thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks for coming down today. Next speaker is John Wancom. Come on down, John. Welcome. Just state your name for the record.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Smith. My name is John Wancom. I'm a Sparks resident, and I'm here to invite the entire community to a presentation that will be held on March the 21st at the Community Library entitled The Reality of Climate Change. It is sponsored by the Citizens Climate League and the Climate Reality Project, and it's for all citizens who wish to know more about climate change and what they can do about it. And again, that event is March 21st, 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Sparks Library. And thank you. Hope to see you there.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council. 5.1, approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the agenda.
You have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Lawson? Second. You have a motion and a second. Any other conversation? Seeing none, please vote. How about aye or nay?
Aye.
Okay, here we go. Charlene was an aye. Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, 6.1, approval of the minutes, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting and budget workshop for February 24th, 2020. Mr. Lawson.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
I didn't realize my speaker thing was.
Okay.
It's a rollover.
We have a motion looking for a second, Mr. Anderson.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to announcements, presentations, recognition items, and items of special interest. The first one is accommodation for Coach Dick Allen. Is Dick here? I'll read the commendation, then we'll get it to him. Whereas Edward C. Reed High School will say goodbye to Coach Dick Allen this spring as he completes his 48th and final year of coaching basketball for one of the longest high school teaching and coaching tenures in Nevada. And whereas Coach Allen's resume includes 10 state championships, an NIAA Hall of Fame award, 17 regional and national Coach of the Year awards, and over 1,100 wins. And whereas Coach Allen influenced thousands of student athletes for nearly 5 decades, and now therefore I, Ronald E. Smith, Mayor of the City of Sparks, do hereby join with the City Council in commending Coach Dick Allen for his passion for coaching and his dedication to our community. So wherever you are, Coach, thank you. And we'll get that to him. Okay, accommodation for Excel School, and I see we got a whole bunch of people there in the front row and a few in the back row. Why don't you come on up? Yeah, have a seat.
Just, do you want me to speak or anything? Or do you want to...
Well, after he reads commendation, then you can all say a few words. Okay? Go ahead.
Whereas Excel Christian School has a strong academic Olympic team and has competed in the Nevada State Meet for 3 years, and whereas Academic Olympics is a competition between teams of students from local schools where students answer questions about topics like mathematics, science, literature, politics, current events, and pop culture. Students prepare for competitions by meeting regularly to study and share their knowledge with one another. Each student has a niche of proficiency, which makes the team very diverse and successful. And whereas in 2019, Excel Christian School won the 1A Academic Olympic State Championship, earning the first state championship in the school's history. Now therefore, I, Ron Smith, Mayor of City of Sparks, do hereby join the City Council in commending Excel Christian School for their historic win this year. We are proud of your work and your dedication.
Thank you. If we could get the students up one at a time, introduce yourself, and tell me what you're an expert in, because you're an expert in a lot of things, I think. Yeah, speak into that, please.
So, hello, my name is Eric Stutzman. I'm a senior at Excel Christian School. This is my 3rd year on the Academic Olympic team. And on behalf of the team, I'd like to thank the City Council of Sparks and Mayor Ron Smith for bringing us out here today.
Thanks for coming down. Really appreciate you doing that. Thank you. And, oh, yeah. Everything.
I'll get back to you on that one.
I'm Coach Debbie Green. He's our geography and literature and classical music. I'm just going to start there.
Okay. Come on up. And you know, Christopher Dare's on the phone here too, so he's keeping an eye on you guys.
An ear.
An ear.
All right. My name is Ian Williams. It's my first year on the AO team, and I'm an expert in history and planes and tanks and things like that, like war history.
Very good. Congratulations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lauren Vanderslice. I'm also a senior, and this is my third year on the AO team. My best subjects would be pop culture and English.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kelsey Green. I'm a junior. This is my third year on the AO team, and I don't really have a specialty. I kind of just have like random knowledge.
That's what we have. We know a little bit about everything. Get a picture.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Truitt. I'm a sophomore, and I tend to specialize in things that have to do with Alaska. Also, a little bit of biology and math. And Kelsey's really good at math. She didn't want to say it, but she is.
Hi, my name's Evan Uyghur. I am a sophomore, and I specialize in human biology and math.
Very good.
Again, I'm Coach Debbie Green. We have one student who's not represented here today. He's on his way back from a gymnastics meet in Las Vegas, but Austin Witt is a freshman, and he contributed in a mighty way. What would you guys say his specialty was? Sports. Sports.
Everybody knew that. Congratulations, you guys. It's nice to meet you. And you know, we hear about all the bad kids all the time, but when we see the good kids, they're really good kids. We really enjoy that they're here. We'd like to get a picture. Oh yeah, hang on. Go ahead, Christopher.
I just want to say I'm proud of you guys, and I just want you to know, because I know she likes getting embarrassed, but Coach Debbie Green, she did a great job. Give her a hand. She's fantastic.
Thanks, Christopher.
Christopher, when she got here, she says she's just the driver.
That's not an untruth. And the purveyor of Dutch Brothers coffee when they win.
Okay, let's get a picture. They are. They're all tall. Holy mackerel, it's just a picture. Wants to speak on this. Never had anybody ask to do a public comment or proclamation. You're not on it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the audience knows I do have some public comment on this proclamation, but I'm not going to allow that. I'll let you speak during the public comment period at the end of the meeting. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to 7.3, proclamation for the Professional Land Surveyors Week. Bob, I know you're here. Come on down.
Where would you like me?
Right there, Bob.
Thank you.
I'm going to read this for the mayor.
Okay.
Whereas the profession of surveying has provided answers to questions of land boundary determination since the earliest days of civilization. And whereas surveyors were instrumental in creating property boundaries of the United States, providing its citizens the enjoyment and privilege of property ownership. And whereas professional land surveyors are uniquely qualified to locate the ground what is what is expressed in words in legal documents defining property boundaries. And whereas land surveyors work with other dedicated professionals to provide the best possible solutions to modern-day problems that serve the interest of the public. Now, therefore, on behalf of Ronald E. Smith, Mayor of the City of Sparks, do hereby proclaim March 15th through 20th, 2020 as Professional Land Surveyors Week.
Thanks very much.
So give us your name and
Bob LaRiviere, member of the Nevada Association of Land Surveyors and a proud professional land surveyor licensed in the state of Nevada for over 30 years.
Anything else, Bob?
That'll do it. Thanks. I
All right,
appreciate
sir.
it.
I love
I'm
it,
honored.
short and sweet.
Okay, that's right. You guys got to take it to the end of the day. Let me get up high.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, next on the agenda is a presentation by Awaken. Come on down. And your boss can let you come down by yourself? Oh.
Thank you, Sparks City Council. Mayor, thank you. Is my presentation on here?
It should be, yeah. And then introduce yourself.
Okay.
And
My
then I'll
name
have your
is-
brother say hi. He's going to critique
Okay.
your whole presentation.
My name is Chantel Brewer, and I am the prevention coordinator at Awaken. Thank you. You're welcome. Keep talking. Hello.
It's good to see you there, kind of. I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, I can
But,
hear you.
Glad you're there.
And Chantel, I just wanted to thank you for coming down. This is Charlene Bybee, and I'm working on that task force for the trafficking issue, and I really appreciate you coming down to share your expertise.
Yeah, thank you, Charlene, actually, for getting a lot of this set up. So we've missed you in the meetings. I know that you're very busy, and so I appreciate you guys chiming in through phone especially. So my presentation is quick. We are an organization, Awaken is an organization in town, and we really specifically seek to increase awareness, but also do something about the trafficking that's happening in our area. I'll show you some data in just a second. I have hours and hours of conversation in me, and I promised everyone involved that I would keep this brief. But anyone who wants to chat me up, I'll be outside for a few after. But our focus is to really bring restoration to our city. Our goal is a safe city, a safe region. Just two quick definitions. Commercial sex act is any sex act on account of which there's an exchange of something of value, with the person receiving that as the one who gets to decide what is of value. And so that can be very, very seldom is it money, but it's very often drugs, shelter, food, clothes. So it's the baseline of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and frankly, what makes our cities start to crumble or struggle. The people who are not having these needs met, and so they turn to traffickers or whoever can provide this by any means. It actually becomes sex trafficking when it is induced with force, fraud, or coercion, or if the person is under 18. And that's part of the awareness that we're trying to bring around, is that no one under 18 can consent to this sort of situation. A lot of our community doesn't know that. The number one myth that we are faced with is child sex trafficking could never happen in my community. And that's my job, actually, is to go around and bring that super depressing information that in fact it is happening. We currently have at least one student in every single one of our high schools of Washoe County that's on our active caseload. That means that they're receiving services from us because they've already been trafficked, or they're usually children of somebody who has been in this life. And so we partner with them. But the truth is that this is data taken from an organization that we hired, and they put this together with their research team. And what this showed us is that over amount of time, these were just the existing ads on Craigslist and Backpage, which Backpage has now been taken down, but Craigslist is still up and running and selling our kids. And so you can see that there's really, I think only Stagecoach with their One Light Town is really the only place that is untouched. And the other data that this gave us was that there, at any given time in the Reno Sparks area, that we have 1,500 kids who are being trafficked and every single month. And so this is why our organization exists, is to bring this awareness and then to actually figure out how to pull our community in a healthy and positive way so that you all can really be the reach for us. Our services include prevention. My whole job is to go around. I'm a career educator. I just resigned at 23 years because this work was so important, and I was having kids in my own classroom come through who were being trafficked or at risk for it. And so I wanted to be free to go around to our communities and speak. I speak at churches, I speak to educators. Right now, we've already been put in front of our Washoe County School District, and they've been really receptive to parents. They're kind of next on my list of people to really meet with. Restoration, we've got case management, therapy, where we offer group and individual counseling for adults and kids. We have a drop-in center downtown. It's actually just on the other side of the city border because we wanted to be across the street from the bus station in Reno, where so much of this is really taking place. That's such a heavy traffic area. And then we offer a housing program. It's a safe house in town, and it's a 18 to 24-month program for adults. And then city transformation, which is really why we wanted to come and just remind you that we are in your community. We are helping any way that we can. If you guys see a need that we could be filling, we really encourage you to reach out to us. We are happy to cooperate with you. And that's it. That's all of my presentation. So thank you.
Questions or comments? You know, I've seen your presentation a couple times, and I'm always impressed and depressed at the same time, because you look around our neighborhoods and we don't see that.
Right.
We don't believe it's happening, but it is happening.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming the amount of people that are actually trafficked monthly.
Right.
So the work that you guys are doing is just, it's needed, and we're thankful for it,
Thank
believe
you.
me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from anything? Chet?
What is the incidence of sex trafficking in the homeless communities?
It's what we know, actually, recent study out of the Eddy House in cooperation with the Eddy House is that within 48 hours, a male will be propositioned for we call survival sex. A male being on the street or a runaway will be propositioned for survival sex. And within 24 hours, a female will. And so survival sex is, it's a sex act in trade for those basic needs, for food, for shelter, for protection, Maslow's hierarchy, right? So the only thing on that hierarchy right now that someone can't provide is breath. Everything else is something that these traffickers are hoping to be able to provide in exchange for, being able to sell the boys and the girls. So it used to be that gentlemen were not really on the radar. What we actually think is that they just didn't disclose as much, but certainly with the beds now available at the Eddy House for the adults that are there, the young adults, and then even the services, we're hoping that in conjunction with them that we are able to really point these kids in the right direction so that doesn't have to be something. We do know that our highest community demographic for trafficking is our foster care. Okay. All of our kids in foster, which they very often go from homelessness to foster care, back and forth, and then even just maybe the foster parents are not just aware of how this is happening or really what to look for. So there's a lot of misconceptions about how this happens in general. And so we just, as a community, we're not always knowing what we're supposed to be looking for. So we're kind of looking for the wrong things sometimes.
But those are your highest risk populations in foster care and homelessness?
Yeah, right. And so because of the homelessness factor, we know, and this is every law enforcement agency will tell you that socioeconomic status has nothing to do with this. So we find homeless kids in our highest economic neighborhoods as just as often as we do in our lowest. And I don't know the data on that. I just know that at one point Galena was our highest caseload of students.
You mentioned something interesting that the parents typically don't know. How can the parents get a better handle on this?
Some of it, I think, is, becoming informed. We have a lot of information on our website, coming to our presentations. A lot of the schools offer a Q&A with me or with other knowledgeable people in our area, being aware of what's going on their kids' phones, because with children, we're finding almost 100% of this is taking place on apps. So the FBI has a top 10 list of apps that kids should never be on because that's where traffickers hang out. when I say that to kids, I tell them, can you guys tell me the list? And they know it. The kids know it. It's just the parents are not wanting to believe, or they're wanting to give some privacy rather than viewing it as some protection. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Chantel, you have a fundraising dinner every year. When is it this year?
November, do we have a date? Okay, November,
Sometime
usually
November?
first or second weekend is typically in
Would
November.
you get us that information? Give it to
Absolutely.
Christopher, and then we can get it out to everybody. And
I will.
I want to thank you for the work you do.
Yeah, thank
It's,
you.
I think you're probably not rewarded enough for what you have to go through, but we do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you all
Chantel.
for your
Thank
time.
you.
I appreciate it.
And thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Okay, 7.5 and 7.6, Mr. Kreutz.
Mayor Smith, we have two vacancies. The first one, 7.5, is for our Senior Citizens Advisory Board. We have a single vacancy, and we are encouraging people who live inside Ward 4 to apply for that, although any residents inside the city of Sparks can apply. It is to fill a partial term that will run from April 27th of this year through November 4th of 2022. We will accept applications through Friday, March 27th. Item 7.6 is for our Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee. There is a single vacancy there as well, and we are looking for candidates who have experience in the commercial construction industry. That is also for a partial term, but the time there is December 31st of last year through December 31st of this year, and again, we will accept applications for that position through Friday, March 27th as well. People who are interested in serving on either one of these committees should complete a community service application available from our city clerk's office. You can also apply online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us/getinvolved. And once you're there, click on volunteering for a Sparks board or commission, fill out the form, and click submit. Thank you, Mayor Smith.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Kreutz, I just want a clarification on the Sparks Senior Citizens Advisory. On the agenda, it says it's Ward 3. I thought that Ward 3 was full.
I will have to get back to you on that. My notes, I've got Ward 4, but I will clarify that and see if I can get it done before the end of our meeting today so that we can get back to it and have it correct.
All
Okay?
right, thank you.
We have it open for an alternate in Ward 3. Okay. Move on to consent items. Anybody want to pull a consent item? If not, looking for a motion. Mr. Lawson.
Move to approve consent item 8.1 through 8.4.
Okay, I have a motion. Looking for a second, Mr. Anderson.
Second?
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to general business. 9.1, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of appointment to the Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee. Mr. Cruz.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith. As you saw in there, we had a series of applicants for that, and Ted Erkin, Robert Sandoval, and Matthew Robinson were the three applicants, and I believe you've recommended a candidate forward, so it's.
Yes, my recommendation is Ted Erkin. I believe he's a reappointment too.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. So, any discussion? Looking for a motion, Mr. Lawson?
Move to approve the mayor's selection of Ted Erkin for the Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second, Mr. Abbott.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Aye. Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to 9.2. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an appointment to the Sparks Citizens Advisory Committee.
And this is for the Ward 3 alternate position. We had a series of applicants there: Jennifer Deneau, Megan Meager, Matthew Robinson, David Sousa, and Alan Sterling. And I believe you've got a recommendation.
I do have a recommendation. Do you want to read your recommendation, Mr. Anderson?
Turn on the mic here. I move to approve the appointment of David Sousa for alternate Ward 3 to the Sparks Citizens Advisory Committee for a term that is coterminous with his appointing elected official.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second. Mr. Abbott?
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Aye. Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Neil. 9.3, consideration, discussion, and possible direction regarding the Regional Transportation Commission's development of the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan Welcome, Amy. Welcome, Michael. Are you coming down too? You sure?
Mr. Mayor, I need to step out for a quick meeting.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay, we're not voting on this anyway.
Okay.
We will vote to,
So you should have a forum.
Christopher and Charlene.
oh, okay, they're on the phone. That's right. Thank you. Amy, welcome.
Thank you very much. Amy Cummings with RTC. Appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk to you about transportation. I am here with the RTC team, Brian Stewart, Jan Dunges, Michael Moreno, and Mark Maloney, so hopefully we can answer any questions that you may have for us. We are launching the development of the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan, and we hope to be finished by the fall of this year, so we're moving pretty quickly. Had our kickoff meeting just recently to get input on the vision and the goals of the plan. And that is, oh, thanks, Michael. And that's why we're here with you today, to get your input. We also have a agency working group that involves staff from City of Sparks, so we definitely appreciate them making time to participate with us as we work through this process. And we're going to have a series of community planning workshops. We just had the first kickoff, and we'll have another one in April, and then later in the summer. I know some of you came just recently to our Sparks Industrial Roadway Network workshop, where we were seeking input on issues and concerns in the Sparks industrial area. We heard a lot of interest in improved bike facilities, particularly with the ability for people to commute across the freeway in the river, because it's very constrained in those areas. Also, certainly a strong focus on safety and making sure that people have smooth traffic operations, so addressing congestion in that area. We're also going to be reaching out to students in our region. We're going to be planning a forum to focus on economic development and how transportation can support economic goals for the region. So we will be back in touch with you with more details on that information. We wanted to highlight, in terms of the purpose of the Regional Transportation Plan, that we do implement the projects in the plan. So when you step back at our previous plan, some of the Sparks-related projects were Southeast Connector, the Pyramid-McCarran intersection, and the 4th Prater corridor, and those are ones we were happy to have completed. There are a few Sparks projects currently in development that I wanted to highlight, and that's Audie Wells, which goes to construction next year, Pyramid Highway, which is in design right now for widening up to Los Altos, widening on Sparks Boulevard, and of course, we're working closely with INDOT on the I-80 project in Spaghetti Bowl. So I just wanted to bring us back to, we're here today to listen to you and to make sure we're not missing anything in the plan that is important to the City of Sparks. Thank you.
Amy, would you give us an update on the progress for bus stops?
Yes, we have our first batch of bus stop improvements under construction right now, and we can certainly get that map sent over here. We had it as at our workshop just last week, and we have 100 bus stops under development, and it's the bus stop itself as well as sidewalk connectivity to the nearest intersection, because that's a big priority to make sure people can have that accessible path of travel to get to transit stops. So the first batch that didn't require right-of-way acquisition are under construction now, and then we're going to have subsequent phases over the next 2 years to complete that first 100.
Trying to get those people out of the, go ahead, Christopher.
I have a question on it. Just, can you also give an update on some more extended transit into Sparks? I get asked every time. I just left another meeting, and I know we've talked about some possible ideas down Pyramid and stuff, but can you give us an update of what's going on there?
Thank you. I appreciate that. We had our transit workshop with RTC back in January, and one of the priorities identified for the upcoming fiscal year is an additional Flex Ride service area in North Sparks and Spanish Springs areas. So I don't have a graphic today of that area, but can certainly get that to you for future. Or we could come back for a full item to discuss Flex Ride in the Sparks area that's currently operating, which has been going very well. We've tripled the number of people who are using that service. And of course, in Spanish Springs, we have never provided transit service in that area. So we're excited to see tap into that demand. And that will be in the fall, September? Late summer to fall.
Of this year?
Yes.
Why don't you just just give us a quick rundown on what the Flex service is? That people, you got 2 million watching on TV. They may want to know.
Well, I hope so, and I encourage them to go to rtcwashoe.com and find out more details. But it's similar to an Uber pool service. We operate this through our Access Paratransit operator. So it's our Access drivers and vehicles, although they are rebranded and they say FlexRide. But you can call us, you can use an app to call a ride, and within about 15 minutes, if you're within that zone, a FlexRide vehicle will come and pick you up and take you anywhere within that zone.
Pick you up right at your house or
right-
wherever you're calling
Right
from.
at the curb in front of from wherever you're calling, and take you either anywhere in that zone or to Centennial Plaza to tie into the rest of the fixed route system if you want to go beyond that zone. And one thing we're hearing is that people who would never have walked half a mile to get to a bus stop or a mile are happy to call up and have this additional mobility option available to them.
Good. I was going to say a minute ago, I'll let you go, Paul, but I forgot what I was going to say. No, the bus stops. We're trying to get them out of the dirt onto a pad where they can actually, and maybe a little protection from the rain and snow. So we've got some spots throughout the city that are like that. Mr. Anderson.
Just want to say thank you very much for staying so close to the businesses and the public, listening to them and looking for their input in this. I think that's the secret to success, is making sure that we are listening to them and likewise doing what we can to meet that requirement. And thank you for the workshops. Thank you for the survey. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I just want to encourage those 2 million people that are viewing this right now, that they engage RTC, take the survey and check out the website and see what's out there. And likewise, we want to hear from you. So thank you guys.
Thank you. And that survey is available at rtcwashoe.com, or you can find it on Facebook if you like RTC.
Mr. Abbott?
Yeah. So definitely on the FlexRide, I'm happy that we have the Sparks Senior Center as a location for drop-off and pickup. The seniors are definitely very, very thrilled. I hope they're using it. I know they were happy about it, so I just don't know if they're using it. Hopefully they are. So we are looking for adoption for next year, correct, for this? Is that the plan, 2021? Or not we, like you guys, RTC.
The RTC budget process is going to, and the draft that we have currently is going to include continuing the FlexRide service that's there today and adding the Spanish Springs FlexRide.
But the 2050 RTP will be adopted next year, correct?
Yes, that's end of this calendar year.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So we're looking at longer range types of improvements as well, in addition to just this upcoming fiscal year.
And then for anyone that missed, or when's the next Sparks meeting? Is there another one coming up?
We don't have another one calendared just yet, but as we do schedule those events, we'll make sure that we notice the city of Sparks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Ms. Bybee?
Yeah, Amy, could you address what kind of, or if there are pedestrian safety components as we look at our transportation network, and obviously a critical issue in our community right now, and are you addressing any pedestrian improvements or safety?
Thank you for that question. You're familiar probably with the major corridor reconstructs, so Pyramid Highway, Sparks Boulevard. While those do also include additional travel lanes for cars, they also have, in the case of Pyramid, a multi-use path, so that we do have facilities for people that walk and bike, because we know that there is a demand for people who walk and bike, and right now there's just a shoulder. So on our major corridor reconstructs, that's absolutely a core part of what we do, is make sure we have those safety improvements and multimodal connections. We also have, we've already talked about the bus stop improvement program, and that is 100 bus stops and sidewalk connections all over the region, and those are prioritized by the severity of the deficiency that's there today. We just adopted our ADA transition plan, and that included the data collection for the next 350 bus stop improvements that we're going to prioritize. We hope to be able to do 20 to 50 a year, so that gets us the next several years in the pipeline. We're part of the Vision Zero Task Force as well as City of Sparks, so we're looking at ways we can improve our outreach and our communication with the public to make sure everyone is doing everything they can to look out for cars, make sure you're lit, you're using your phone only as a flashlight if you're walking at night, so that people can see you and that you're just using good, safe transportation practices, and as well as drivers, so that they're looking out for pedestrians.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Charlene. Any other questions or comments? Thank you for the presentation. And we're going to need a motion to accept this report. Mr. Anderson,
Make a motion to accept the report from RTC.
we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Abbott?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Ed is out of the room. So it passes unanimously with those present. Thank you, Amy. Thanks for coming down, everybody from RTC. Okay, 9.4, consideration and possible approval of an expenditure of $235,385.06 to purchase one 2021 International HV 607 truck with grapple. Mr. Corman.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith, members of the council, Ron Corman, your Public Works Maintenance Manager, record. Today, I'm before you for your consideration to approve an expenditure of $235,385.06 to purchase one 2021 International truck with grapple and dumping debris box from Silver State International as part of the CIP for fiscal year 2020. Utilizing a jointer bid through the city of Reno. $366,541 was included in the fiscal year 2020 drain CIP budget approved by the City Council on May 28, 2019. We were able to realize savings of approximately $130,000 off of the initial estimate by leveraging government pricing through international trucks and by jointering with the city of Reno. Over the past several years, Public Works has seen a dramatic uptick in the amount of trash, mattresses, couches, boats, cars, motorhomes, and human waste left in the right-of-ways, parks, trails, and other areas around the city. The correlation to the drains budget for this item is that the focus for this equipment is to remove trash and debris before it gets into the storm drain system and into the river. The Truckee River is part of the waters of the United States, and it is our duty to protect that resource. The two main reasons that we think that this piece of equipment will be beneficial to the city, number one is efficiency. This type of equipment will allow staff to quickly pick up large and heavy debris without having to mobilize additional equipment to the site to complete the task. A crew of 1 or 2 staff members will be able to cover many locations without having to return to the yard to dump. Safety, number 2. Staff currently picks up mattresses and couches in alleys by hand. These items are often heavy and awkward, potentially resulting in back injuries. Also, some of the items that are picked up may contain sharp objects and may be infested with insects. This equipment will all but eliminate those hazards. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, questions or comments?
A few other photographs of the truck from different angles. This is not exactly the truck that we're going to get, but very similar.
Do we have one of these already?
We do not.
We do not, okay. Mr. Abbott.
I just got to request my ride along when we get it.
I will. You'll be the first to know.
I thought I was first.
Well, you can be first.
You're first right
You're
after.
Ward 2. You're number 2.
You guys can come out together.
We'll arm wrestle for it.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I agree. I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the purchase of one 2021 International HV 607 truck with a grapple crane and debris box from Silver State International in the amount of $235,385.06.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Anderson.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, number 10 is public hearing and action items, which we don't have any. We'll move on to 11, planning and zoning public hearings and action items. So 11.1 is a second reading, public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of Bill 2773 to amend Title 20, Chapter 20.03.020, Home Occupation. Mr. Rundle, welcome.
Hi. Give me just a minute, Mr. Mayor. I'll pull up this presentation.
Take your time.
No, can you help me for a second?
Too much time, or we're gonna use that truck to plunk you out of there.
Can you use what? Oh.
With the
Crane
big
drop. That would be both you and Councilman Abbott then.
One of us will pick up, one of us will dump.
Mr. Mayor, sorry for the delay.
That's okay.
Jim Rundle, Planning Manager, here to present on the code amendment as you just introduced, Mr. Mayor. A home occupation permit is an what staff refers to often as HOP, and I may very well go to HOP in my presentation, but for the crowd, I'll try to use the term home occupation permit. What is a home occupation permit? Well, it's a mechanism that provides residents the ability to operate a business out of their home. The regulations associated with a home occupation permit ensure that a business operated inside a home will operate in a manner that does not compromise the integrity of the residential zoning district. These regulations are constructed to ensure the business operates as a secondary and incidental use as the primary use on a residential site. Currently in the city of Sparks, there's 518 addresses utilizing the home occupation permit. Occasionally, citizens report potential violations to the Sparks Municipal Code on those conducting a home occupation permit. Those investigations tend to be investigated through the city's Code Enforcement Division. The Sparks Municipal Code provides the administrator, the city manager, the ability to revoke a home occupation permit in the case the operator is not complying with the regulations applying to those home occupation permits. Now, the City Council may remember in October of 2019, the Sparks City Council considered an appeal of the city manager's decision to revoke a home occupation permit. After testimony from both staff and the appellant, the City Council deemed it was inappropriate to revoke that home occupation permit given the lack of clarity in the Sparks Municipal Code. Later on, at the end of that meeting, the City Council directed the city manager to initiate code amendments to the home occupation permits section of the Sparks Municipal Code. And that brings us here today. Amendments to the home occupation permit section of the municipal code. In the case of amendments to the Title 20, the planning and zoning ordinance for the city of Sparks, the Planning Commission acts in an advisory capacity to the City Council. The Sparks Planning Commission at its April meeting unanimously forwarded a recommendation of approval to the amendments that I'm about to go over. As you see on the board above you, staff has proposed to amend Standard 5 in the Sparks Municipal Code and further clarify that while you can have 5 clients visit your home during with an approved home occupation permit, it could only be during the hours of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And again, currently, this condition 5 exists, but it does not identify what hours those visits can take place. So currently, as of right now, someone could visit the site at 2 a.m. and they would be still in compliance with the home occupation permit. The next standard that staff has added and the Planning Commission supported is condition 11. That the business uses of the residents shall be limited to the uses as described in the home occupation permit application as submitted and approved. One of the issues that came up during the public testimony on the appeal of the revocation of the home occupation permit was that they said we would be doing office uses and that what they were in fact doing was an office use. Staff disagreed and said it was outside what we determined to be an office use. This makes it very clear that it would not, and reduces the ambiguity in saying, you better identify what you're doing on your application and you better limit it to what you identified on your application to be in compliance.
Jim, does this mean you can only have one business per home?
And let me go on
You
with
get
the
to
next
there?
one, yes.
Okay.
And then maybe I can circle back to that,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Condition 12 says that you can only do one home occupation permit per dwelling unit. We also have in the city of Sparks, when we did the amendments to the zoning code, the ability to have like a mother-in-law quarters. By code, that is identified or defined as an accessory dwelling unit. We wanted to make it clear that if you have an accessory dwelling unit, a mother-in-law quarters on your premises, they couldn't be doing a home occupation permit and you doing another one in your house. Another issue that came up during the appeal was that the appellant indicated I was in compliance. It was another person living in my house that was operating outside of the home occupation permit. This standard would essentially provide the city to say, doesn't matter, you can only be doing one home occupation permit per address. Next standard I want to bring the city council's attention to is what would be numbered as C2B. And this has to do with the application process. Let me just read it. Provide written notice to the applicant that the home occupation permit is denied. So if you apply for a home occupation permit, staff cannot approve it, we will provide a written letter back to the person requesting it saying your request has been denied. Previously, currently, if there was a condition of the home occupation permit section that you did not want to comply with, you had the opportunity to go in front of the Planning Commission through the conditional use permit process and request essentially a variance to one of the standards. The city of Sparks does not use the conditional use permit as a variance, and we believe that was an inappropriate use of the conditional use permit process. So we've struck that as reflected on this slide to say you can no longer apply for a conditional use permit. You have to comply with all of the standards, and if you don't, you will not be issued the home occupation permit. And by standards, essentially I mean all of the laws governing a home occupation permit. And this section is one I think that the council is to an extent directed through their comment when they requested the city manager bring this code amendment forward. Again, 3A, we've cleaned up the conditional use permit process that I just talked about. And in 3C, we've added, if in any 12-month period, 2 or more notices of violation for any violations of this code are issued to the property on which the home occupation permit is conducted, and then back up to number 3, the administrator may revoke the home occupation permit. As the council may remember, in the October meeting, staff identified that there had been over 9 zoning violations that the property owner was made aware of, and this would provide a very clear road forward that if you have 2 or more within a rolling 12-month period, that the administrator could move forward with revocation. Staff believes that the proposed amendments would enhance the city's ability to regulate potential home occupation permit violations in the city of Sparks, thereby protecting the integrity of the residential zoning districts to which those are being used. Should the amendments be approved by the city council, staff would notify all current home occupation permit holders, so 518 holders of those permits, of the new standards. We would create a letter and mail those to all of those home occupation permit holders that moving from today forward, those standards would be what would be enforced on their home occupation permit. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my presentation.
You might have a question on the last paragraph there. It says, in any 12-month period, you use the word rolling. Is that the same thing?
That's the intent. So it wouldn't necessarily be from January to December.
Right. I get that, but
okay.
When you say in any 12-month period, is it the same thing as saying in any 12-month rolling period?
I'm looking over at legal counsel, and she's giving me a head nod that it would be.
That it would be?
Would you like to affirm that, Mr. Mayor?
I would, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith and Council. Allison McCormick, Assistant City Attorney for the record. That is the intent, that it would be a rolling period. So it could be March 1st through February 28th of 2020. 21,
Okay.
depending on the circumstance.
Okay, so the language is basically the same, it's just,
Yes.
okay, that's all I needed to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Anderson?
I have a question on B7. There was some changes made to that, and I was just hoping you can help me understand.
B7.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes. I don't have that on my slide. Would you like me to pull it up on the overhead?
I've
Ms.
got it on mine. I don't
Councilman
know if we need to
Anderson?
show it.
Yeah, let's get it up. So,
That we can go to the ordinance.
On First Sparks Municipal Code?
Or no, on the, Councilman Anderson, you're referring to this standard here.
Correct.
There's a way we can zoom in, I believe, as well. But that's not it. Thanks, Rich. Yeah.
Don't have to be a millennial to be tech savvy.
Yeah, thank you. That should be, we could probably go a little more. That's it. We'll go back to where we
yeah,
were.
it helps.
Take computer classes in elementary school.
Councilman Anderson, I did not identify this one in the presentation, but thank you for bringing it up. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is if you are conducting a home occupation permit and you've been approved, I believe it's through the ATF for conducting certain businesses, you do have to put a sign up to identify that you're doing that. And one of the regulations in the home occupation permit is that you cannot be advertising for your use on your premise. So if you're doing, let's say, piano lessons at your house, you can't put a sign up that says, I conduct piano lessons here. And that goes back to maintaining the residential integrity of advertising. But if you are conducting work through ATF, they do require that you identify to your neighbors that you are doing that. So what we're trying to do there is with the asterisk, identify that one caveat to say, right in the application. So when you come in now for an application, we will provide all of the standards to the home occupation permit. They will read through these. We want to be clear that if you're conducting that business through ATF, that you'd be able to have a sign.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion? This is a public hearing, I'm sorry. This is a public hearing item. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Come on down, Elise. Welcome.
Elise Weatherly, a Washoe County resident. I just wanted to say thank you for that presentation. That was the most concise, most precise, most effective thing that I think I've heard in my life. I have my own business, and piano lessons is part of it, but I would not subject anyone to my teaching, so we haven't taken it that far yet. So you know what? Sometimes it's good to hear some good things every once in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was extremely impressed, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rundle. Okay, anybody else in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we bring it back to the council. Looking for a motion, Mr. Anderson?
Make a motion. Move to adopt Bill 2773 to amend Title 20, Chapter 20.03.020, Home Occupations of the Sparks Municipal Code to add or revise standards pertaining to hours of operation, the number of permits allowed per dwelling unit, permitted uses, and standards and procedures for revocation of home occupation permits, CA-419.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second, Mr. Abbott.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I want to say thank you to Mr. Rundle and to Community Services. That's a pretty complicated issue, as we found out in October. I'm glad you guys worked through it, simplified it, made it easy for everyone. I like the idea that everybody's going to get a mail out that has a home occupation permit, so that we can't hear, that we don't hear, which I'm sure we'll still hear, I didn't know. So I appreciate the effort there. This was a big deal. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Jim. Good job. Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to public comment. I'll open up the public comment period. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? I have a card, at least for you, for 7.2. Did you want to talk?
Yes, if that's all right, yes.
Okay. And you have two here, so you get one of them.
But I can't combine the time.
You can talk with whatever you want to on the public comment time, so.
All right. Elise Weatherly, what I wanted to say is, number one, you said something that really triggered me, and that was to believe. People don't want to believe in things like sex trafficking and our children in danger and all that kind of stuff. But what I've also noticed is that when you have bad things to present, people don't want to hear it because it could mean some waves, right? So what I will do is I will tell you, I started a log many years ago. Somebody gave me this and I went, I'm not going to write down my prayer requests. How dumb is that, right? Then I started writing them down, and then I started going, I can have anything I want. I can have anything I ask for according to the King. So what I have learned recently is to make sure that when I ask for something, it's to the benefit of people and not just to myself. And that has been one of the hardest things that I've had to take care of. For example, that beautiful truck. I love that garbage truck, but guess what? I don't dump my feces or my garbage on the street, but I have to pay to pick it up. That's the way the world is, and it's too bad that it's like that. My brother, Mark Lowell Anderson, City of Sparks resident, he was the one that had his guitars stolen out of his condo, and he was the one that found Christina Braithwaite. He was the one that found her selling his guitars online. He was the one that got Sparks Police Department involved. He's the one that helped set her up. It was Travis Lucia from the Assistant District Attorney's Office that really helped me open my eyes, because I was going after this criminal going, if I'm just nice to you and just good to you, then you'll turn around. Travis said, they are who they are, and taught me a lesson that I've never learned before. Don't try to make people into what you think they are because you think that they should be that way. You address the people that you know that are doing things that are wrong, and you try to do it in the most legal and professional way you can. So I won't say anything about Excel Christian School right now. That will be coming out in the open later. But I will say that if you expel a brilliant student because of words, and you lie about it, and you try to cover it up, eventually, as we know, everything is going to be revealed. Nothing will be hidden in the dark in the end. I will say that I did put in a call to the FBI just because I saw a Justice TV episode where a guy dug through garbage can, or vacuum cleaner, to find out that the Newmans had been murdered by a guy named, I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, I'm glad I don't remember the criminal's name. I called and said, thank you for doing that. Oh, by the way, I know where the drugs are coming from Arizona to Nevada, but I can't get anybody in Reno to really care about it. So one of your former RTC drivers, Charles Wayne Fry, is now dead. They're doing a toxicology on him. They will probably find meth in his bloodstream because he and my ex-husband, Michael Earl Weatherly, transported drugs between Arizona and Nevada. And I've been trying for the longest time going, I know who's doing this, I know who's doing this, but I think the sweet face, if I used to have one, gets in the way. So people don't want to listen to that. You talk about having rewards, right? Well, I went to somebody that I kind of liked to say, hey, let's say thank you to Elon Musk for building the Gigafactory out, Tesla. Let's say thank you to him. And then this person said, well, why don't you volunteer? And I never got a call back on my request to volunteer. Okay?
Thanks, Elise.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for comments from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Mr. Cruz.
I'd like to circle back to item 7.5 where I was announcing the vacancy on the Sparks Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. It is Ward 4 that we have the opening in. The text in the staff report and the agenda item brief was incorrect. We had pulled up an old staff report and failed to update the number before we submitted it to you. I apologize that we made that error. We'll work harder to be more accurate in the future.
Thank you.
So it wasn't for an alternate, it was for?
No, it is for an alternate in Ward 4, as I
Okay.
read it.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions? Christopher, just a second. Okay, go ahead.
We just want to say hi from DC. It's been a very good trip down here. If everyone's wondering, yeah, we traveled and everything, but we're not, they had no handshake meetings and all that stuff down here, but everything's going really well.
And you'll be home Friday?
Yeah, we'll get home on Thursday, actually, and tomorrow we'll be on Capitol Hill and representing our city and representing everybody. So Charlene and I are here doing that, and we'll be bringing all our stuff, what's going on, and trying to make sure they know what's happening in Sparks in our region.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Without objection, we are adjourned.